Can you see me, Miss Nikki? Okay.
How do you check and see where you're at?
Should be on there. Hey everybody, I hope you can see us. Real quick, I'm gonna just check that one more time to make sure. Sorry, adjust this out a little bit. Let this down just a little. Okay. Here we go. Can you see me, Miss Nikki? Back there behind that? Alright.
It feels like your phone's just gonna go flying off.
I know, guys, if all of a sudden it's just disappeared.
See, that was earlier.
Let's see. That's okay. Hey everybody, and welcome to Off-Grid Contracting. We've been talking about doing this for a while, talking about sizing your system, how to do a setup for your system, and we're going to actually go around the shop in a little while, go over all sorts of good stuff. And there's really three things that me and Nikki's going to share tonight, which she's going to go over a lot of the first portion, which is a lot of the info for this new year ahead. And then also the new stuff that we have to offer. We have so many new products and services to offer. It's crazy, being that we're just a small mom and pop. And the last thing is then when we're done with those two segments, going to walk around and I'm going to show you a lot of the basics to sizing your system. I'm going to show you some setups, some of our OTG ready-made system stuff, like one that we're going to be delivering, dropping off to Texas this week. And some of the solar modules and all sorts of stuff. And right before Nikki gets started though, I want to say a shout out to Hurricane Wind Power. We appreciate them dearly. They are one of the many fine-tuned pieces that fit into our business that help us move forward and meet the needs of our customers. If you are designing a large system, and let's just say you're going to be doing it yourself, you're a do-it-yourselfer. If it's a lot of parts and components and stuff like that, we're always glad here at Off-Grid Contracting to help you design your system. We do consultation, and then you can go right from there to them and order X, Y, and Z and do a lot of your do-it-yourselfer stuff, and they can help assist you through that process as well. And we'll also get into some of the materials and stuff we use from them here just shortly.
Somebody asked if they had seen the moon recently.
Had seen what?
The moon.
Oh, okay. And so anyway, with that said, Nikki's going to start out and give you a list of info that we've got.
First thing that I guess we're going to talk about is what all we do at Off-Grid Contracting. We can do tiny houses. Well, we do the solar on tiny houses. We don't build them. We can do greenhouses, generators, hydro, storm shelters, wind and solar, aquaponics, you name it. We can probably try to do it. If we can't do it, we'll find you somebody that can. We are cheaper than anyone out there, and if you find somebody that's cheaper on labor, you can let us know and we will still beat them. So, what else?
The deal. We've got an offer.
Alright, so this is a lucky customer, just helping one person out. Well, we'd probably do more than one person if we had a bunch of people take the offer, but
as long as we can work within the time schedule.
yes. So the deal is, if the first person to book a job with us, the job has to be done before the end of June, but they get $500 off of their labor cost. But that's as long as they do a system that's 3.5 kilowatts or higher. They have to have paid for their parts and locked in their date by May 15th. So.
Okay. And now with the new, some of the new materials and things like that, I'm going to kind of laundry list them off right now. And then we're actually going to do a little tour of the workshop, and that will probably be the longest portion of this video tonight. And then we'll set back down and actually go over sizing your system, and I'll actually get into those things on the board too, as far as figuring out your loads and a lot of the questions that people constantly contact us and ask us, which are very valid questions, just something that we kind of want to put out there to many of the people that may be starting the process of, hey, I want to go off grid. What is it really going to cost me? What am I really going to need? Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, labor is always pretty much the cheapest thing you ever have to worry about. It's materials that will always eat you up. And that's something that we always try to help alleviate with.
We work with Hurricane Wind Power, and he gives all the The stuff, if we do the install, you get 10% over his cost on your parts. If we don't do the install, then you're going to pay retail price what everybody else that was calling off the street would pay. But for us, if we install it, you get the deal.
Which also helps to offset labor too. So at the end of the day, it pretty much makes us insignificant as far as bolting it down for you, because the labor is pretty much alleviated with that cost savings on parts.
Somebody wants to know, they have the Edison batteries. They have 12 of them, but they need a charge controller. What would one cost?
Okay. For the Edison batteries, I'll answer that question real quickly before we move into our materials and stuff like that we have new for the year. The Edison batteries are very nice batteries. I think some of the finest that's offered right now. Cost-wise, they're a little pricey, but the type of charge controller I would use for that is I'm a big fan of Midnight Classic, and I think that would be the charge controller I use for that. Now, depending on how many strings of panels you've got coming in and the voltage of them. Our table tonight, which you can't see at the moment, but I'll show you our fancy table we made tonight. It's out of 3 spools of PV wire and I think it's a 75 watt module that we put on. It's a beautiful table. You should see it. Everybody should own one. But it just based on the strings that's coming in, you might need 150. You may need a 200. It would probably be one of those, depending on the pounds. Like if you had 4 of these larger modules like behind me, that would go to a Midnight Classic. 150 could handle that because the open voltage on these are like 38. And
so what would that cost and what would the charger
cost? The cost on that,
roughly?
I think it's $500 something is
roughly
the cost on the charge controller, and it is a very high end quality controller. I think the warranty on those is now up to 5 years, so you definitely get what you pay for. And it's American made. We don't deal in Chinese garbage. Actually, if you want Chinese bolted down, you don't need to call us because we don't roll like that. No, go ahead.
I already forgot.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Just holler at me.
Oh, I know. We do not sell parts at all, so we're just a labor only, but we will help you source your parts. So if you want to buy it from somebody other than our vendor, that's fine too. We recommend our vendor because his customer service is excellent, and like I said, you get the deal. But I'm not going to push my vendor on you, but he does work really well with everybody.
And something that one other note real quick on the info that I also forgot to mention is that we get asked constantly, will we go anywhere? We will go to Antarctica if you are paying. Okay, now a lot of people might be like, well, how do you get how are we going to accomplish this? Because there's zoning laws here and there's permits here and that. Ladies and gentlemen, we get into this all the time. We've gotten to the point where we'll build everything portable so that you can literally take it wherever you want to go. I mean, there's so many solutions that we've resolved these issues over time with people. I mean, we're doing a portable system right now so that the person in Texas can have it. I mean, we will find a way.
Well, the only thing about the portable is that you are limited to what size of a system and what you can run off that. I mean, you can't power a whole house off of a portable one. Now, a couple of lights and a refrigerator for a while, very doable. But I mean,
and tiny house people, the tiny house people,
if you have a big load, you're gonna need more panels and more batteries, and that's not something that you can just. I mean, like the batteries themselves, especially the new batteries that we've started using, which are a lot better than the old ones. I mean, those things they feel like they weigh 100 pounds a piece, but I think they're a little bit less than that. But you're not going to want to carry those around 50 billion times, being portable.
Also, guys, if you want to check their hurricane wind power, also,
hi, Tony.
Hey Tony, good to see you. You can check his YouTube channel out also, and I'll also have a link to it in the video description below. But some of the new materials that we're offering this year is we've got new batteries that are nanocarbon technology. They last 44% longer than most AGM type batteries, and I'll do a comparison in a minute so you can see what I'm talking about. Just want to run this down, quick laundry list. We have a lot of people want to stay in the 12 volt world. I'm one of those people. Our tiny house is going to be completely 12 volt when it comes to power input, other than just the small AC loads that will be inverted from the inverter. But the top that options that we have for that now, we have 40 amp MPPT systems that we can be built on the OTG board, and OTG stands for off the grid board. As you notice, there's a lot of other companies out there trying to knock this stuff off and try to be Walmart. They can try to be Walmart all day long, but they can't bolt it down for you like we do, and I promise you it'll be built to electrical code if we do it. And we've had a lot of good feedback about some of the things we've built and endorsements. But we also have, I don't know if you can see it in the corner of the screen over here, just barely catch the box. But we have new inverter system that is Inverter Charger. It's got a low, mid, and high voltage cutoff. I'm going to open that box up, show that to you. And it's also 2,000 watt pure sine. So for somebody that's wanting a small 12 volt system for tiny house living, portable things like that, you just can't beat it. We also have got a lot of different options on solar panel sizes and types of solar panels where we can get them from. And we're also doing, which you can't see on this one at the moment, but we also do folding leg systems on the panels nowadays for the portable system. So all that's built in the house, and you'll see that here in just a moment when we go. We've got all sorts of battery monitoring equipment nowadays. Guys, I mean, the laundry list just goes on and on and on. And the great thing about this is we can do everything in-house and have this pre-built before we ever show up to your doorstep. So it's literally put the solar panels in place, if we're talking solar, and then just install the charging system and the inverter system, set your batteries, and sometimes we are literally out of people's doorstep in the same day. I mean, we're getting to the point where we're doing same day service. Okay, now that's not for every type of install, but for some installs, we've been able to do same day service. And I'm really excited about that. I mean, we've done a tiny house. We've been able to do some tiny houses in 4 to 6 hours, and out the door they go. And been getting really good feedback from our customers, especially at Incredible Tiny Homes. If you like to check Randy Jones and them out at Incredible Tiny Homes, they do a phenomenal job building homes. The solar systems that we've been doing for their customers, we've just been getting phenomenal feedback back, especially with the new battery systems. So with that said, I'm going to hop up and let Nikki take over the camera, and we're going to go through, and I'm going to very carefully give her the camera first foremost, guys. I'm going to show you.
Somebody wants to know if you can combined the solar and wind charging systems.
Yes, we can combine the solar and wind charging systems, and here is the fancy table that we have here, and also propped up in the corner with some utility conduit. I'm telling you guys, this is about a $5,000 coffee table, and if you'd like that to be manufactured for you, we can do that as well.
No.
There you go. All right.
Ty says that, hey guys, hope all is well, loving our batteries.
And there's one of our customers, just recent, that we done a tiny house install for.
Turn that light off behind you.
That was Ty that we know, right?
I'm pretty sure, yep.
Okay. Man, I'm glad to hear that, Ty. I'm so glad that that's working out for you, my man. And we truly appreciate being able to work for you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look, since I'm standing right here at our solar panels. And this right here, I mean, they come in multiple different sizes. This is a synthesis 75 watt module. And we can do all sorts of different panels in the folding portable.
I'm just going to stand right here, that way I don't have to move around this wobbly
table. I'll move that in just a second for you, bud. And right here is one of the setups that we've done. And you can fold it up, fold it down whenever you're done. It's very tensioned. So, worrying about getting loose over time, it's not going to be that big of an issue. Sorry, folks, I'm going to move this light over out of the way. It's a little dark in here in the evenings. And this way, you can easily set these out when you want to, fold them up, put them up whenever you don't want them out. Because a lot of people want their privacy, and they don't want people to know that they have their solar. Hey, we totally respect privacy. One of the biggest things in our service agreement, one reason I think a lot of customers come to us, is we literally will not share your information. Okay, it's completely protected. And unless you just want to let us share the install, and we truly appreciate that if you do. But privacy is paramount to us. So if it's portable, if you need it foldable, whatever the case may be, we'll make it happen for you. This is aluminum, so you're not going to have to worry about rust and corrosion. Same type. We try to keep all the aluminum same, just like the panels. And nowadays we do keep a lot of the panels in stock in our wiring shop, so we can be out to you in a heartbeat. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to apologize, we were cleaning today. I'm going to pull out one of these monstrous Agm batteries. Okay, this is nano carbon, and move this stuff out of the way so Nikki can show you. And what you have right here is, this is like a telecom type battery. I call them Lego block batteries. And you can put these in series, so you can literally have a huge, like 200 amp hour battery bank that only takes up a footprint about this wide by, as you can see, this long. These are stackable, and they're AGM, like I said, and they are nanocarbon.
What about the off gas? Because a lot of people, that's one of the top questions everybody asks when it comes to batteries.
No off gas. In tiny houses, we have to literally squeeze these into spots that no one should ever have to get in there. I look like a hobbit in a hobbit hole. You have to make it work. So we've literally worked with the tiny house builder and other folks abroad to find ways of fitting them into your structures. And so by doing so with these type new batteries, you not only get more storage space, but it's an easier to find a way to put them in. Now they do weigh a ton. If you drop this on your toe, I cannot guarantee that you will still have a toe. No liabilities there. Okay.
I'm telling you, they feel like they weigh about 100 pounds.
Another thing that we've gotten into, now this is not the type generator that you can get through hurricane wind power, but this is an example. Okay, this is a generator that's actually going to my tiny house. But the reason I want to share this with you is because this little tiny generator will work with the new type 12-volt inverter systems that we've got going for the off-grid solar. Okay, and what it is it's dual fuel, so it's propane or gas, and it'll run 1400 watts continuous, so that's plenty enough power to run the charger function in the inverter that I'm about to show you here in just a moment. Okay, and one of the other things, guys, that I want to share with you is, all the cabling that we do in systems, we do heavy duty. Nothing is less than 2 alt, and we try to do every single inverter, no matter even if it needs it, we always run everything 4 alt. At all possible.
I'm sorry, I'm reading their comments. When we were talking about off-gassing and stuff, of course, Tony, they're running with that, about off-gassing a lot.
Alright, now guys, here is like a 35 amp hour normal Agm battery. We use this one for our programming on a lot of our boards and etc. And what you have right here is something we started putting standard in, which I'll get into with the tiny house systems in a minute. Right here is a battery status monitor. This is a lifesaver for living off grid, okay? A lot of people will get inverters and etc. that doesn't have a cutoff, and what I mean by that is you can run until it literally, the inverter gets to the point it's so low of battery discharge it can't run anymore. Well, this battery status monitor lets you know, hey, I'm getting close to the danger zone. I need to cut my system off.
Somebody wants to know who this generator is made by.
That generator is made by Sportsman. They do make varying sizes, which if you were going to get any size larger than that one there, I would encourage getting the Champion generators because we've seen their output do great for customers out in the field. And right here, the way that you do this is you just take and trim that back a little bit.
You're welcome.
And I'm just cheating for a moment, guys. We put these under ring terminals, but this is just...
This is one of those things where you say, do not try this at home.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I'm doing currently. We put this under a ring terminal under normal situations.
We're going to be live for probably another 30 minutes to an hour, I would think. Going over everything and then taking questions.
Okay, because you can see right here where this battery has been hooked up for a while. Sorry, guys, give me just a second. Make sure I get the good contact.
You mean not hooked up?
Not under a charge for a while. I'll show you here. Once this kicks in just a second, you should see it settle down into place. And get the contact here. Sorry, I'm just going to have to hold that for a second. Anyway, long and short of this, it will show you the status on where your battery's at currently. And that's the important factor, because at the end of the day, you absolutely do not want to ever discharge a battery lower than 50%. So it showed at 60 and then it cut off for a minute. Now that will also track during the day up or down. That'll let you know. So that's a nice little addition, which you will also see in a future video I'll be doing on this board right here, because this is actually going to a customer. That will mount right there above this combiner box. And it'll actually let the customer know, so they'll not only see what they're making off their solar, but they'll also see the state of charge. Okay, now
We are in Tennessee right now, and he's talking about a board that's going on a portable system we're leaving out for Texas on Saturday.
Okay, now a lot of our systems that we do portable, we do it so that the leads, you can literally clip extensions to your solar panels, which we'd pre-make, and then they would clip directly into the board, and at that point you can turn on your solar, which will have a label across here of what each of these breakers are for the customer. This board's currently being built. But what's unique that's going to be put on this board that is the first time, and I'll swap with Miss Nikki right here, is this unit right here. This is a Xantrex Freedom HFS 2055. All right, and it is a pure sine wave inverter. It's made for a lot of different applications, from the mobile truck industry to tiny houses to marine use, you name it. I mean, RVs. Actually, the RV companies, I'm seeing where a lot of them out there are starting to do some transitions. And Go Power is something we've used continuous out in the field for customers, and so has the RV industry. And now a trend that seems to be taking place is Xantrex is starting to come into this industry in a big way. I'm going to show you this inverter, just how long it is. Because a lot of people think that an inverter has to be this big brick like Magnum, for example. But the inverter doesn't. It actually, get the transformer and the length of it as well. Right here is going to be the customer's board, as you can see right there, to that example, right there. And like so, and this will come off, we'll have their fuse block right here, and then it'll go right on to the appropriate area. Now, this inverter, I don't have it plugged up at the moment, but the great thing about this, as I was saying earlier, is now you have the ability to cut this off at the 50 percentile mark. So this will actually protect a 12 volt system from over discharge, just like the high-end Magnum will do. Now you can get something for about half the cost, but the same high quality of power output. The only limitation is that with a Magnum, say you would get at 12 volt, I think it's a 2812 would be what a Magnum would be. Okay, well with this you're getting 2000 watts. All right, so you're a little bit more limited, but you're getting something almost as high end for half the cost. Okay, and cost is everything most of the time for installs, and so you know we've tried to source solution. Now the great thing about this is you can also go directly AC in or AC out with a built-in transfer. So not only are we transferring power and going on, but we're also charging our battery bank. So we've got it all with this. I mean, the best of both worlds. And with something as simple as that generator, as I spoke of earlier, the ability to charge the battery bank up isn't much required either. And the great thing about the AC in is, like for this customer right here's request, what we need done, we're going to have a 20 amp plug coming in service AC direct feed to charge this unit up. So they'll have a complete system all in one on one board, ready to go. And the great thing at the end of the day is if they want to put this in their Faraday cage, which that is the case that it's going to be going into, then what will be able to be done at that point is they will actually be able to lay this in there, plus they'll have their batteries in there as well, and that will actually all fit inside at the end of the day. And I mean, that's meeting the needs of what the customer wanted, and also their solar panels will be able to fold, as you've seen right there, set 4 of these out, clip an extension to it, and be ready to go.
This one right here.
Let's see if it takes pictures. Could you give me this? Yes. If you can send us pictures and information, here's how we work. Let me just make one last note on this, and I'll move right into answering that question for you. This board you see right here before you will have more info. I'll actually have the final build video up of this unit. I'm going to turn this right here so you can see that as well. But this doesn't have to be your board. We can custom build anything, folks. The sky is the limit, literally. Okay, I mean, you know, you tell me what you want built, you order your parts, you ship it, we build it, you know. Now, with giving quotes and things like that, the way we work is really simple. If you have basic questions, basic info, that's no problem, it's no charge. if you want us to sit down and do X, Y, Z, calculate your loads, calculate, how much solar you're going to need, every last bolt, nut, and screw, that's a $250 charge, okay? But if you have us do your install, that's deducted straight off your install, okay? So you're not losing a dime, all right? And if you want to do it yourself at that point, hey, that's covered our time and fee for setting down and figuring all this out for you.
Someone wants to know what the system costs, the one that you just demoed, the complete system.
Okay, the complete system. This right here, let's see, I would say that the time you have our labor, okay, because this was portable.
I was going to say it depends on if it's portable or actual.
Because this is going to be a portable system and everything, and because they bought, everything was high end. All this is American made, plus they bought the brand new large batteries, and their solar rate, they had about $4,000 flat in it. I think it was less than that. That might have been the travel cost figured in too. But you're looking at about $4,000 probably for this, and I'm thinking that sounds about right because this is actually our charging system for our tiny house. And by the time I figured up my parts, my batteries, inverter, I'm about in that same ballpark. So I think that is, I think that's accurate. And I'll have to sit down and look at it.
Yeah, for the portable one is the one he's talking about $4,000. If you want to not be portable, it'll be more because you'll have more panels and more batteries. Are you gonna
and the mounting of those as well. Now do what now?
Are you gonna put the thing back?
No, we'll worry with that later. Now, the sizing your system. Okay, that's something that we're going to get into right now. All right, now that you've seen kind of the options that are on the table. I mean, of course, now large systems will do large inverters and things of that nature. And then I'm gonna once I show you how to size the system, everything, I'm gonna put the camera stand back for Miss Nikki, so she don't have to hold that cam. You want me to go ahead and get that for you right now and set that over here? So you don't have to hold that.
Are you going to stand in front of that the rest of the talk?
For a good duration of it.
Is that inclusive of installation fees? What you just said.
Where are they located?
I don't know. Why don't you ask them? It's Boulder Boom Big Owl. I don't know.
Just email me at any questions and have. Just email us at gooffgrid@offgridcontracting.com. We'll put the info in the video once we're done as well.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Watts. How many watts was that?
The customer had 1.2 kW worth of solar to go with this. Now, sizing your system. Okay. Do you want me to get the stamp? Okay.
If we travel outside of Tennessee, there's always travel costs, and the only thing that we charge on the travel costs is depending on how long that we're going to be on a job, and that's normally just a rental vehicle if we have to go out of Tennessee, and then hotel, gas, and food. Alright, so you want me to do this? Let me...
Just get the whole board here. You got the whole board.
I think so. Without your phone's gonna fall. I don't know.
Let's see.
It's leaning sideways.
See if that doesn't do better.
So, write the website up there.
Okay,
Go off grid.
Let me find the black marker. Okay. So, well, here you go. Here is the website. Okay, our website is offgridcontracting.com.
Is that where they email it to?
Now, you can email us at gooffgrid@offgridcontracting.com. And sorry about the long email, guys. We didn't really think that through in the beginning. Nick, I lost my light.
That wasn't no we. That was you.
Yeah, that one's all on me. I have to own
I didn't do that. I didn't do the email.
Okay, so hope our lighting is
Sorry.
better. Guys, we'll try to do this better on future solar videos and off-grid videos and stuff. We're still figuring out this live thing. This is our first go. Sizing your system. Your people are always going to want air conditioning. Now look, I made a video.
Oh my gosh, there they went.
Okay, you got it. They have to assist it there. I made
Sorry,
a video
everybody.
the other night that how to make a swamp cooler. Okay, you can check that out on the YouTube channel. It's 2 or 3 videos back at this point. If you've got to run a regular air conditioning unit, like a small window unit, something like that, that's about 600 watts. To run a regular air conditioning unit in your house,
somebody said our video is locking up every now and then. Just FYI, and no problem, or it's no problem.
It may be because we're in a metal structure.
Signals going in and out.
Yeah, the signal's a little sketchy out here, guys.
Because we're not on Wi-Fi, so that may be a big contributor.
Now, lights. Okay, lights is something everybody wants. Okay.
You're going to have to make that darker because on the video it's showing up really light.
Okay. So lights is, you're talking 200 to 500 watts easy. Okay, but now that's using new LED lights. You can reduce all that way.
Okay, thanks guys.
And then refrigeration. Okay, your fridge. Most Energy Star appliances nowadays, a fridge can run 500 to 550 watts. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think of anything else that's the usual suspects. Well pump, your well. Okay. Now, if it's 110 and it is a shallow well pump, you can go anywhere from, I'll say, 1100 watts all the way up to 2000 watts. Okay. That'd be the high end of things, though, because that's really when you start crossing into the 240 volt range. This is a lot of what people usually ask us about, because they want their off-grid cabin or their off-grid property or their tiny house and etc. They want their fridge, their lights, their air conditioner, well. Okay, this is me for at least 3 of these. I'm doing the swamp cooler.
So said the video stopped completely just now.
Are we still tracking now, or?
It still shows that it's going.
Okay. It may be a little lag on the other end from YouTube. If you want these items, okay, we'll just add this up on the low side, okay? That's 600, 800. Then we're at 13. That's, you're roughly 2,400 watts right there, okay? Now, the thing about it is, you're not running this whale all the time, okay? That may be 30 minutes. So that's only 500 watts, right? 600 or 550. And this fridge is only on whenever it cycles. If you have one of the new Energy Star large fridges, it's not going to cycle that much. Lights are not going to be all the time, and the air conditioning, now that may be something that's all the time. So you have to ask yourself, how do I figure this out at this point? How do I want all this, or how do I offset all this power? Okay. Well, one quick thing before we go to that is your load service panel. Another thing you want to look at. You go to your load service panel and you open it up, okay? You have all these breakers for your circuits. One of them, you want this light circuit, okay? Well, that's a 15 amp breaker. It's rated for 15 amps, but who knows, you may only have 5 amps on that whole circuit. All right, here's your AC unit, 20 amp breaker. And you just go down through there, your refrigerator, 15 amp breaker. When you get into the point where you have like 5, 6, 15 amp or 20 amp loads, or even 130 amp breaker, folks, you're going to need at the minimum, okay, a Magnum is the type inverters we usually do on the hardwire install. Every Magnum on the wall is equivalent to 30 amp service continuous. So that would help offset that, because it can handle surges, all right? But when you get into the point where you have lots and lots of loads you're going to want to run, you're going to need additional inverters, because these things have to stack, okay? So that'd be 60 amps of service. You add another Magnum, you're up to 90. Okay, we've never really put more than 2 Magnums on the wall, because most of the time off-grid stuff, most people only need about 30 to 60 amp worth of service for critical loads. All right, now we have put people completely off-grid.
12 volt fridge really helps, as you don't have to invert it.
Yes, and that's a very good point, whoever just said that, is because when it comes to tiny house living or anything that you can do for your off-grid cabin, stuff like that, anything you can do 12 volt and keep it at 12 volt is outstanding, because when you have to go 24 volt and 48 volt because of so many loads and stuff, you pretty much have to invert everything and leave everything AC at that point. But now if you keep a lot of stuff 12 volt, then you can go with something like this small Xantrex unit in front of me here that I was using earlier. Alright, so when we know that we've calculated up and we say, hey, per day, sorry, this may not be visible. I'm going to have to make sure to write wide. Per day, per 6 hours of daylight. 6 hours. We're going to go minimum 6 hours. Long summer days, you may have 8. We've got to account for making up all that power we're going to need. Okay, so we're going to say realistically, our little off-grid place uses 1,000 watts an hour for 10 hours a day. Okay, so that's 10 kW worth of solar that we've got to put in our house. All right, well, how do we do that? Well, it's real simple. You're going to divide 6 into 10. All right, and what you're going to figure out real quick is you're going to need at least a 2 kW system to really make a dent in that, because you want to always offset a little bit. So 2 times 6 is 12 kW. So that gives that fudge factor, okay, of about 10-15% that you need to over accommodate for. So, you know, if you had 4 270 watt panels on like this little system I'm building for that customer, that's 1.2 kW. All right. So if you had 8 panels that were 270 watt modules, all those loads I just discussed could roughly offset that. And then if you say, well, I don't even know if I use that much. You know, I may not even use that much. Well, it gets to the point sometimes that if you know that it's never going to get too sketchy, you can always have a lot more battery storage, your batteries, and just add to your battery bank. And that way, when the times come that it's in a little extra surge draw, you know, you're using a little extra power than you normally would, your battery bank can help offset that. So there's always that balance point that you want to look at to try to balance things out, because everything you bolt down is always money. You know, if you have a generator, okay, that generator can help support that battery bank during times of surge or during a rough winter or something like that.
If you have propane, that offsets the usage that you're having to use off of your solar.
Right, to heat, you know, because that's another load, is the heating. And now, a lot of people might say, well, you cannot really benefit from solar and do water heating, you know, for off-grid. Guys, we have found some solutions for the water heating off-grid. And anybody that has any questions about off-grid stuff, please let me know, because I'm nearing the end of some of the things I had on my mind tonight, and we'll definitely cover way more ground on stuff in the future, and we'll be doing build projects live as well. But
Tony wants to know if he can take a 30-minute shower before the sun comes up.
Yeah, 30-minute shower before the sun comes up. Okay, well, we're going to roll the dice with that one and play It's a Tiny House. There's 2 ways of doing water with the solar and heating your water with a water heating element, okay? There is the old school method of a DC element in your water heating tank, okay? And you would put that on a DC timer. All right, the reason you never put this stuff on a switch is because somebody will leave the switch on and drain their battery bank dead. Okay? The other option is to have your solar dump load into that water heating element as well. All right, so that way, anytime you have extra, you're making extra power and your battery bank's already full, it will dump that into it. Now that's the way we've always done it in the field in the past. All right. But we've made a transition in moving forward with our customers, because of the high-end, high-quality inverters we've been putting into systems for customers. Is you take your water heater and your 20-amp service load. This would be, both these water heater, that would be a 120-volt water heater. This would as well, but would have had to replace with a 12-volt DC element. Okay? What we do nowadays, and I can share a link in the video once we're done with this for a customer we just done on Tiny House, and I actually show in depth in that video what we've done with it, is we actually come out of that into the into an AC timer onto the wall, little switch, just a 20-amp timer switch you can get like at Lowe's, and out of that into the service panel, and from that to the inverter. Okay, well, here's the inverter in your battery bank. Okay. So let's just review. Battery bank, inverter, sub panel, AC switch, water heater. You turn that water heater timer on for about 15 minutes before the sun comes up. Now Tony's going to know when he's wanting to take that shower. So he's either going to set that timer ahead of time, or he's going to put the digital one in and time it so that it's going to actually kick on only at that point and draw, let's say that water heater element is a 1800 watt element. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18. So we're going to say that for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that water heater was on, heating his water for his shower, okay? Well, it only realistically used 600 watts. So that means even if you had just a 1 kW solar system for your tiny house cabin or even your house, and this load was segregated off to your solar only, then that means that all that power you stored up, you're only going to have to, that solar panels in good light are only going to have to work for a half an hour to replace that power back in your battery bank, and you still have a good warm shower.
But if that's at night, it's not replenishing, so you're taking it out of your battery bank.
Exactly. But this is why with the new type batteries we put in, for example, one of our customers that we worked for recent, Ty's tiny house, we've noticed with his trend that the tiny house barely dropped any power during the night. And the reason being for that is because the battery bank was large enough to capacitate those loads under high draw during an extended period of time when the solar wasn't working. So that during the day when the solar is working, it is bulk filling that battery bank back up. And that's why storage balance with solar is important.
Somebody wants to know, would you say a wood gas generator is worth running regularly or adding to the load?
Okay, a wood gas generator. We've built one here on the channel. It was one of the first projects we ever done. When we were featured on Doomsday Preppers, we built ours the first time. Didn't know if it was going to work or not and flopped. And it worked great. But if your wood gas generator puts off a lot of tar, it's just really depending on, how much wear and tear. If you got a lot of companies are making some good quality high-end wood gas generators nowadays. And if you are investing in something like that, then by all means, your generator, if you're running a regular generator and having the wood gas plumbed into that, and it can help offset that, then by all means, heat your water with the gen, or for that matter, if you're running your solar low, that's a good filler to turn on the gen and let it run and assist the inverter to do that while filling the battery bank back up if it's going to be in a dark time and you know that your battery bank's already low. There's all sorts of things you can always do to help offset. What we encourage with people with water heating is if you make this one small sacrifice and you do propane water heating, then you have so much more power to put toward other things, especially with the tiny house customers or small cabins. Now, if you don't want to offset that with propane and you want everything to be off your wind or your hydropower or your solar, this is the most efficient new way to do this is with the AC that you're already inverting. We can just turn that with a flick of a switch and the timer cuts itself back off and you're alleviating overdrawing your battery bank.
What's the lifespan of a battery bank?
Okay, the new Agm batteries that we have, being that we set them at a 50% discharge safety cutoff, that gives a lot longer lifespan to them. So you could possibly get 8 years to 10 out of those new batteries. A very realistic expectation. That's like your charge controllers. Nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, they're warranted to 5 years. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that means you would have to really, really try to destroy your equipment because, I mean, if your charge controller is already warranted for 5 years and you respect your batteries, properly, and you don't over discharge them, you can expect a very long lifespan out of them.
Ty, the customer in Florida, said at night when everyone is home and active, the bank can/will drop to 70% by bedtime, but in the morning around 6:30, it's still at 70%, and that's when the AC is set at 74 degrees 24/7.
There you go, 74 degrees on a mini split running 24/7 in Florida, and a battery bank only dropped to.
That's awesome, Ty.
That's some of the best results I've gotten in the field back from a customer in a long time. And a lot of that, guys, is attributed, I really believe, with using the very best quality components. Whether it's your marriage, whether it's your vehicle, whether it's your job, you always want the very best out of everything in life. Don't skimp on your equipment. So many people have bought from vendors out there that sell equipment, secondhand stuff or improperly made stuff or Chinese garbage, and it's expected great things out of it. And for just that little more investment, they could have had something that would have lasted them a long time. And that's the one thing I would encourage you is do not skimp on the quality of your equipment, because in the long run, it can mean all the difference to the effectiveness of what you get out of your system. Anything else you need to share?
You want to talk about the wants versus the needs and the angles of the panels?
Okay, wants versus needs. Most people, when they look at their load panel, they'll open a 200 amp service panel up on most houses, standard, and they will want 3/4 of that service panel, all that, to work. That can easily go from 7 to 8 to 10 to 15 kW and a battery bank that's, $10,000 easy. If you really wanted to have the proper storage for it. What people really need to consider is, because now we don't do grid tie, all right, but the inverters
We can get you up to a certain point.
Well, yeah, we have dealt with that situation before to help get people to a point where the grid tie people can take over. But if you're wanting something, you've got to always look at the needs first versus wants, okay? Because realistic expectations is what I always tell people. You're going to need air conditioning. You're going to need your water heater. More than likely, you're going to want hot water, or at least put that on a timer, okay? If you're going to not do the propane thing. You're going to need lights. You're going to need a well pump running. I mean, your well pump to me is actually priority one, in my opinion, above everything. I mean, heck, you can turn your cell phone on and get a light if you need it. But, this right here sometimes can turn into, $4,000 or $5,000, $8,000. A standard tiny house, for example, out the door, I think is, how much is the new pricing? It's $7,600, I think. $7,600 out the door. And that is a 1.6 kW.
For tiny houses?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's 1.6 kW solar system. And guys, the pricing, we'll have a link to that as well in the video that goes direct to our website. If you want to check it out, freecontracting.com, and on the services tab and look over the left hand side, there is a pricing link to the PDF you can go to. And even with something like the tiny house thing, you're looking at $7,600 to really do it upright. Okay, and that covers an inverter much larger than the Sandtrax. Okay, that covers your charging system. That covers the high-end new batteries. That covers
labor too, right?
Do what?
Labor too.
Labor's already in there. It covers battery status monitoring. I mean, this covers everything.
But now, if you wanted to add to it, of course, additional panels and batteries would raise your cost.
Exactly.
But not the labor.
No, the labor doesn't change. Okay.
On tiny houses.
And most people might ask, what is our labor rate? Okay, and that's something that I want to get into real quickly before we end this video tonight. What time are we running on right now?
I don't know. It don't show me on my phone. It shows you on yours.
Okay.
We've probably been at it about an hour.
Okay, yeah, we'll wind this down for tonight. So guys, I hope this first video has been a good one. We'll wind this down. We'll catch you in a week or so when we get back from our next adventure. And so our pricing, okay, it's 90 cents a watt. That's for solar and hydro. Okay, wind is $1.20. All right, and you might ask why. It's because wind power, it is a ton of prep work. It is a ton of work to get it right. Okay, to make sure that the system works right for people. And we only have one stipulation when we do wind power, is you have to install a brake system. Okay, that's about a $120 investment, and it's mandatory, or we won't install your wind turbine. That's the only thing with wind power. All right, most labor rates out there, you can look this up, and the time you count your system cost, time you count your labor, and everything that's usually rolled into with most installers, and this is grid tie that we're talking about, just so you're not confused, not off grid. You can get as high as $5 a watt. Okay, that's labor plus parts. So if you see one of these things that says 10 kW grid tie solar system, $17,000 or $20,000, and then you get your tax credit and all this stuff, guys, you can still get your tax credit going off grid. I mean, you don't have to sell it to the electric company.
Or having as a backup to your power. If the power was to go out, hey, you've got your system, and we can set it to where it automatically switches. If your power was to go out, it'll switch over to your solar, exactly. So you're not running off your solar all the time.
And the thing with what we do is, if you figure this up, most of the time when you figure up the highest end system that we've done for people. I think we've always stayed within about the time you figure your cost of parts plus our labor on top of that, you're at $3, you're in the $3 range. So I mean, we're well within the median of most installers that do grid tie. And we're off grid. Off grid will always cost you more money because you have to have batteries. You have to have a lot more components, breakers, and etc. than a man would than for grid tie. Because with grid tie, you literally have your meter service, you have your disconnects, you have your inverter, and your panels. That's it. You don't have your batteries, you don't have the additional charging system stuff. I mean, there's just so many other nuts, bolts, and screws that goes into off-grid. But the great thing about it is it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we can still get in the baseline lower than most grid tie. Pretty much anybody out there does grid tie so far I've seen is pretty much blow the socks off that, and we still can do them an off-grid system. So
almost all the customers that we have gotten called to on big jobs, for example, we had a lady that said she had, I think, 3 or 4 other companies that were in her state. She had them come and give her a quote for a small system for backup power, and she dealt with one back and forth for a year, and they were going to charge her, I think the lowest price she got was what, like $45,000.
It was insane.
With the parts and our labor and travel costs, I think she came below or right at $15,000. So I mean, that's the difference that ours is, and it's not because we don't do a good job. We just don't want to gouge everybody. I mean, we live paycheck to paycheck, and we don't want people that want to go off grid. We want to make sure to be able to help them and do it right, and we stand behind our work.
Yeah, a very quick example of that is while we're in Texas, a tiny house customer that we had worked for in the past and had moved to Texas had got in place and found they needed a little more power. Well, we told them we're going to be in Texas anyway, dropping off a portable system for someone, so we don't care to come by and accommodate your batteries and etc. for you while we're there passing through, because we'd already done the initial work up here in Tennessee before the house is delivered. So guys, we always try to go the extra mile the way to make sure our customers are taken care of and are completely satisfied, because your namesake is everything. Money's one thing, but we're just a mom and pop. We just want to pay our bills, and your namesake is everything, and at the end of the day, that's what we always want to leave a legacy of good things with off-grid.
Somebody asked if we finance. No, we do not finance, because we are just the labor part of it. We don't sell any parts, so we just come and install it. There may be some places out there that finance parts. I'm not sure. I know our vendor doesn't personally. He takes what does he take? He
can take credit. They can take
check, money order, direct deposit, direct transfer.
There is some places that will do personal loans on systems. If you want to get with us, we can help you depending on where you're at. Inquire on that. Some of the things that also, there is some places we cannot work. That is very rare. But we've been able to get a network of a lot of electricians and people around the country that if we can't directly work for you, we can work for them for you. And by still getting the job done for you. Here in the state of Tennessee, it's obviously not an issue at all. But abroad, we have ran into some things at times, like in Washington. There's some places we just can't build certain things. I mean, like even you yourself can't do it. And for example, this Washington state not collecting rainwater.
Rain catchments are off.
There's just some things that even if we tried to help you design to do yourself, you couldn't do it legally. Now, am I telling you a man can't do something and I'll say nothing? I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying that, the laws that are out there, guys, it's getting harder and harder to get off grid. And that's by design. It's not anything we're doing. It's the fact that the government doesn't want you to have a tiny house. The government doesn't want you to have your own rainwater. They don't want you to have your own electricity. In Alabama, a gentleman had an off-grid home, water, electric, and all, and they came and condemned his home because the local municipality wanted a monopoly on it all. It's just the state of the nation.
And a lot of people, I'm not sure if this is what they meant, but they asked the question, it just says cash with a question mark. a lot of people don't want the government or anyone else to know that they've done any type of alternative energy project. So we take cash. We don't tell anybody that we've done it. I mean, we're in and out, and what you do from there is, you know, up to you.
Right. Now, I mean, obviously, we all have to pay tax at the end of the day, but, I mean, you know, that's between us and Uncle Sam. All they care about is the receipts of the cost. You know, there was something I was going to tell you. There is some, though, that do want the tax credit. Is it applicable? Absolutely. It's 100% applicable. We'll even help you fill out the paperwork.
You need to explain how that works.
Yeah, I want to definitely break this down for you because I don't want you to be disappointed at the end of the day because I was in the past, okay? Years ago, we're going to draw a timeline here. This is then, good old days. This is now, all right? On your tax form, you have two sections. A taken off and I guess you'd call it line 1, and I'm not a tax professional, but just bear with me. And then there is everything else. All right, here's everything else. So if you're a mom and dad that work hard, you get your earned income tax credit for your child. It would go here. And then you have some kind of college thing where you went to college, so you got some kind of tax credit there, blah, blah. And all these are payable credits that come back to you in a cash form, okay? So if you ended up not owing X, Y, and Z in on tax and you had a surplus left that you're going to get a check of $1,500, those would actually come back to you. Okay? Well, it don't work that way with the federal tax credit on the solar and off-grid wind and hydro and all that. The way that works nowadays is it goes on line 1. So if you owe the government $50,000, right? You owe them $50,000. It's big money. I know, I'm just saying. I know this is unrealistic, but somebody owed...
I don't want to owe no $50,000.
I don't owe anybody $50,000. But anyway, $50,000. And you bought a $30,000... Let's see. No, let's go. You bought a $100,000 solar install. I would love for you to call me, but I would have to definitely get my license up for being able to bolt that much down.
But
right there, just swap your battery. But while Nikki's swapping the battery, if you got a third of that back, all right, you got the 30% credit back or whatever, okay, guys? All that money would be put toward that $50,000 you owed, okay? It wouldn't come back to you in a cash form. So you could owe them $0 and have just been credited back like $35,000, $36,000 tax credit, all right? And at the end of the day, you know how much you're going to get back? 0.
Yep.
I don't want to disappoint you. All right, we always keep a policy of honesty, and this has been a heartache to some people. This has actually, I think, personally held some people back from doing business with, and it's okay. I'm not offended by that. I don't like that that's how it's went down. Our politicians have done it, guys, but I would rather tell you straight to your face than lie to you to get you to bolt down and then be disappointed later, because that is a huge tax credit. Now, if you owe Uncle Sam, that's the time to do it. I mean, if I'm actually working with a customer right now that they're going to end up owing at the end of the year. So that's actually beneficial for them, not only to do it because they need it, but also because they can skim that off of what they owe at the end of the day.
We're in East Tennessee. I don't know if you've seen the comment back to you, Tony B., but we are near the Smoky Mountain exit.
Okay, guys, all the comments that you've left in the video, if you have dropped a comment or a question and me and Nikki hasn't seen it or responded to it, by all means, please email us at goffgrid@offgridcontracting.com
or on Facebook. Look,
also
find our page and like us on Facebook. It's Off Grid Contracting on Facebook.
Yeah, on FB we'll drop that link as well on the video. But guys, make sure to reach out to us because for some reason we're still figuring this out, but when you post a live video after the video's posted, all the chat that's in it is gone, and then it's just new comments posted after it goes to the public after live. So please make sure to reach out to us because, and whoever contacts us with the 3.5 or higher deal, well, that's $500 off we're offering currently, and that info
has to be done by the end of June, and we have to have the parts ordered and the date set by the 15th of May, which is. What is today? Today's the 27th or something. So, I mean, you've got maybe 20 more days to take up on it.
About 3 weeks. And that info's up on the Facebook page as well. That offer was just posted the other day as well. So, guys, we would be super happy to work for you. We offer a ton of services, custom right down to the last bolt, nut, and screw. And we've got a whole portfolio of happy customers, and this is going on now 4 years in business. We just crossed our third year. We're year 3 or 4. Yeah, 3.5. We've been in business a little while. So we'd be happy to work for you, and until we see you again, I look forward to working for you.